Hey everybody, I see some more people logging on. We'll give them a few more minutes, but if you've missed my announcement, get yourself a drink, get yourself a notebook. There is something kind of clever when you're setting up. If you set up in the corner there to choose all panelists, you'll be able to see us kind of to the side when we start the presentation, and we're going to start in just a couple minutes. I'm logging in. Good. Yay. Thank you, Dad. I appreciate it. I think we've got a good amount of people logged in, so we'll check back in with you in just a little bit.
Great.
We appreciate you doing that. It's like makes it like feel like you're like at a little coffee house, right, guys? Like it's like you're in your own house, but at a little relaxing coffee house.
Yeah.
So up in the corner, we're gonna tell you. I got a question here. Where do you find all the all panelists button? So you're gonna look for the all panelists and attendees up in the corner. And that'll kind of help you get set up there. So it says choose all panelists and attendees in the chat. So then we can all like kind of chat later. You guys, this is very exciting. I'm gonna share my screen here and we'll be able to get started. Woo, I did it. So I am thrilled to have everyone here. This is our very first event like this. I'm going to set us on. There we go. I'm going to do, I like a little gallery view up in the corner, I think. But let me see here. That's right. There we go. So I'm excited. I can't believe we're doing this. So this is our very first event like this. Welcome to all of you to the HealingWords writing workshop and fundraiser. This is a big change from anything we've really ever done like this as far as fundraising goes. And like all of you, we've had to kind of pivot our original plans because of this global pandemic, which is really causing quite a pain in my tush and all of ours as well. So I'm just thankful that we have this technology and this way to kind of connect tonight. And this idea came to me, kind of came to our team as we were trying to think of some creative ways to still connect with our community while we can't be doing events in person. And it was just brought to my attention, like the way that this whole journey started. So for those of you that are like logging on and don't know much about our organization, the Cocktails and Chemo Foundation, it started as a blog. It was just a simple, how do I blog on the internet to start sharing my story. And as that continued to grow and we started connecting with more people, it became this entire kind of mission and now nonprofit to care for caregivers. So I'm just so thankful for all of you for being here and for helping us raise this money here and kind of get back to our roots to think about how it all started and why our words matter and how it can help us heal and hopefully be a tool that all of us will learn tonight to help us process whatever it is you've got going on in your life. So whether or not like you are a blogger, you don't even like computers, you want to pull out a journal, you want to do a bullet journal, you want to just like tape things around your house, it doesn't really matter. So I hope that the things you learned tonight are something you can take into your own life and use it when you're having a hard day, when you're feeling like you don't know where to put this. And that's a phrase that we're going to say a lot tonight. As just a way, writing for me is just, it allows me to have a place to put it. Whatever your it is, we all have different levels of experiences and pains and joys that we want to document and share in an authentic way. And that's really our goal of the night. So here's our little rundown here of what we got going on. We're going to do a little introduction. We're going to talk about the Cocktails and Chemo Foundation. We're going to get into the elements of a story and how you can share your story, write a story. We're going to introduce you to our guest speaker, our little panelist over there, Emily Hinton, who has been so gracious to share her story and talk about how writing has helped her emotionally and just really process some things in her life. We're going to do our own little writing practice for everyone. So that's going to be kind of fun and scary. And I know not everyone likes doing that, but it's going to be great. We're going to have an opportunity to share in the chat box. So if you kind of saw that chat box where I was saying to hit all panelists and all attendees, that's so that you can share it with everyone. And then we're just going to wrap it up with why it's so important to have a place to put it. So that gives you kind of a rundown of what this even looks like. What the heck is a writing workshop, right? Well, that's what it is. So your money tonight helps us care for caregivers. So the Cocktails and Chemo Foundation is it's an organization that is, when I go to talk about it, I can't believe it, because it's like, truthfully, it started as a blog and now we have more than 22,000 followers on Facebook. We support a different family every single month with a grant of $2,000 to help them pay for childcare. We're sending out dozens of care packages every month. We send out care cards. If you ever are in a situation in your life where you feel like, gosh, my friend is going through this and I don't know what to do, we hope that you know that Cocktails and Chemo does, and that we're using all of these funds that are raised through these different fundraising efforts to help us support our cause every month. It started as a blog, but it turned into so much more. And I'm just thankful to have our community of supporters with us tonight. I feel like I'm jumping all over the place, so I need to I'm gonna take a deep breath. You know I need this. Give me a second. Everybody, take a drink break.
Time out.
Mm-hmm. So I haven't even introduced myself. So I'm Amanda Clark. I'm the founder of Cocktails and Chemo, and writing is very, very important to me. It's very special. Our foundation, it started very organically. Through our blog, we started connecting with people all across the country who were saying, oh my gosh, I've been there too. Your story resonates with me. I didn't know anyone else felt that way. And when my husband, Joe, was diagnosed with colon cancer, it was in 2011. And that's when I first sat down to write. And when he died in 2014, I remember being like, well, what do I do now? What do I do with this story that I started and this writing, and I've been documenting and sharing, and what happens next? And it kind of just happened like the blog. Like, how do I start a blog? I said, how do I start a nonprofit? And it just has organically grown in that way. And so now that's really what this is all about tonight. And that's just like a quick glimpse into my story. So this is a big, exciting thing tonight. We have a sponsor. Because Love Journals has donated 10 of these beautiful journals to us, and we're going to be giving them away throughout the evening tonight to some of the people who are registered here. It's this, like, look at this journal. It's darling. And she puts them all together, and they're meant so that when you get it, you can give it to a friend or share with yourself. And I think it's a great start to get you writing. So Emily, I feel like I'm going to make you just like be my assistant. I'm going to do a giveaway. You think I should?
Yeah, totally. Everybody wants a giveaway.
So we have everyone's names in here. I'm going to give away a couple right now, and then we'll give away some more later. Oh, perfect. We got Allie from Linking Indie Women. So that's so excited to have you here. She's an amazing supporter. So we're going to send Allie one of these journals. She's the best. And then we have, oh, this last name's so hard, Jessica De Julio. So thank you guys for being here. We're going to send you these some journals out probably this week. And so it'll be a fun little giveaway. So thank you to our sponsor, Because Love, and for donating all that. All right, so it's me. Here we go. So I'm Amanda Clark. I am the founder of Cocktails and Chemo Foundation. I was a former news reporter, and so I think so much of my writing background and storytelling comes from that. It comes from learning as a young journalist you'd be out at a fire all day long and then have 1 minute to share with all the viewers at home about what happened. And more than what happened, what did it feel like? What did it mean for the people that lived there? And we'll get more into that, but so much of my beliefs in how you start to write and start to tell a story are really focused on remembering the emotional side of a story and finding a way to express that, because that's where people find that connection. That's where the magic is. So like I said, I started the blog in 2011 when my husband was diagnosed with colon cancer. My daughter was 11 months old when he died. She's now 6 years old, which seems totally crazy. I've done a total job life rebuild in the last year. I'm now a director of marketing at Business Furniture and Interior Design and Furniture Company here in Indianapolis. I run the nonprofit where we do some amazing work for caregivers, and it's just truly my passion project. I love sushi. I love love lip gloss, and I love just always being a little bit extra. So that's just a little bit about me as we're diving in tonight. So the thing about writing and storytelling is it's really about sharing your truth and whatever that is, and that can be super scary. If you're like me, you like to walk into a room and feel confident and good, and know that your shirt is buttoned up and that you are not going to drink too much and make a fool of yourself. You just want to be your best self. But I love this quote from Glennon Doyle, and for those of you that are Glennon Doyle fans, I know you're gonna know this, but I've never made a friend by bragging about my strengths. I've made countless by sharing my weaknesses. And there's so much truth in that. For any of you who've ever sat down and had a glass of wine with a friend, I think you're going to know what I'm talking about. When it moves past the soccer practices and the private school talk and the where'd you get your shoes at Nordstrom sale, there's this magical place right below that where you start to share something hard in your life, something that maybe is a little embarrassing, scary, something that feels maybe not like you'd want it on your resume. It's when you get into that stuff where the true like connection and magic happens. And when you're sharing your story in a way that involves your words and taking the time to write like we're going to do tonight, that's where you start to kind of unpack and get into some of that you're not just carrying around that baggage with you, because it can become very heavy to have all of that wrapped around your neck. I can remember moments of my own grief and fear and feeling like I can't breathe because the weight of the world and the weight of these events in my life are not allowing me to take a deep breath. And when you start to unpack that and tell your story and share it and have a place to put it, that's when you really make some beautiful friendships. And I think you find your real self, your real meaning and purpose in life. And you start to feel a lot lighter, and you start to feel like you can process what's next. And this is truly a tool that gives you that. I remember when Joe first died, and people would say, time will heal you. Give it time. Time's going to heal. I'm going to tell you, unfortunately, that is a crock of baloney. The work will heal you. And the work of finding these different tools, whether it is writing, and maybe writing's not for you, but here's one option. If it's going to counseling, if it's running, I tell you, running did not work for me. Gave it a go, not for me. If it's pushing yourself out there to make a new friend or doing something, but it takes aggressive work and true fear and pushing yourself to heal. Time will never be enough. And so I just love this quote because I feel like it's in sharing your weaknesses where you really do make the most beautiful connections. So the elements of a story for me, and this like goes back to being a news reporter, and I was saying about how you'd be out at a fire all day and then have 1 minute to kind of share that. I can't tell you the street name where I stood all day. I can't even tell you how many people lived in the building, how many maybe even died. I can't even tell you the facts. But what I can retell for you a million times is the tears on a woman's face who was standing behind me as she watched her whole place burn down. The expression on the man as he told me about the sound of the explosion. What did it sound like? What did it smell like? What did it feel like? What was in your stomach at the moment? What were your hands doing? And so that is kind of the heart of every story. And I love this aim for the heart. It's something I stole from another journalist, but I love it. Now, if you're like me and you're feeling like you want to start writing, but gosh, like it's so overwhelming. Where do I begin? Like, hi, I'm 36 years old. In 1983, I began. That can be very overwhelming. So the way that I break it down, and the way that I started my blog was, instead of feeling like I needed to document my husband's entire diagnosis and our every day, I would choose a moment. And whether that was a moment that we got news from a doctor, or the moment our daughter was born, or a moment of telling a friend something, or having someone say something to you hadn't expected, a moment, and just focusing on that one moment, and then getting into the feelings that you had and describing those feelings in a way that almost you can relive it, and you're putting it out onto the paper as you're writing and saying, here's the moment, here's the feeling. And then I like to focus on a lesson. And truthfully, that just helps me stay focused when I'm going to write a blog. Like, what do I hope someone learns from me after reading this? What do I hope that they feel? What do I hope that they know about this moment and the lesson that I learned? And if you can kind of focus on the moment, feeling, and lesson, I think it helps anybody who's feeling overwhelmed with writing to just get started. And there's a million methods and tools you could take from there, but it's a great way to just get yourself kind of honed in and think, okay, I've got 10 minutes, before the baby wakes up, or I got 10 minutes before my next meeting. I can write this down really quick and kind of get this moment, feeling, lesson, and stay focused. So with that, I wanted to share one of my blogs, and it really is a moment for me. It was kind of crazy as I was going through, and that's why this is so beautiful, is just to think about, I'm so glad I documented this crap, because it's like, I would have forgot it. And in a way, that'd be nice, but it's amazing to go back and look and be like, oh my gosh, I remember this. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I went through this. I can't believe all these things. So this is a blog that I wrote in a fury. I can promise you I was not sitting down thinking about a moment of feeling or a lesson. I was just emotional and basically pissed. But this story got shared by a lot of people. It actually was featured on the Huffington Post, and it just, I think because it resonates, and it's one of the most, it's a hard one to read, but we're going to read it really quick so that we can just kind of walk through what all this is like. For an example, be brave. It's the best advice a friend sent me today. To be honest, I feel like it's our only option. Be brave. What else can you do when a doctor tells you you're dying? We don't have time for cancer, yet we can't waste time to have surgery because we need to try and buy as much time as we can. Read that over and over again until you feel as crazy as I do. The cancer is back. The scan shows lymph nodes up and down Joe's aorta. His cancer marker was a 0 after the big surgery. Now it's a 25. That's a big jump. Our surgeon's eyes filled as he told us what he saw. Joe choked back tears and shoved a picture of our daughter in the doctor's face. She's beautiful, was all the surgeon could get out without falling apart right along with us. I think I must have blacked out as the doctor penciled some circles on a piece of paper to show where the lymph nodes are. Joe asked about options as I held my breath, trying not to make a sound as tears were streaming down my cheeks. What do I say? How can I comfort him? What about our daughter? How long do we have? Why is this happening? Can I work? Should we book a vacation? Is he going to be sick? Are we making the right decisions? Is there anything else? How do we tell his mom, his brother? Where will I go? How will I do this? This is not the plan. We can do this. It's going to be okay. How will it be okay? Can I keep it together? How will I afford to live? How will he die? Is it going to hurt? Why are these tissues so scratchy at the doctor's office? Did we make a mistake doing surgery? How will I raise our daughter? Who will teach her math? Some questions I asked out loud, others seemed to chase each other in a circle around in my head. Chemotherapy, the surgeon said. We have to do it. It's the only choice. He said we have to at least try. Joe asked if it ever gets rid of the cancer. The doctor said rarely. Buying time, and at what cost? Quality versus quantity, a conversation we've had many times. Joe told me through tears he doesn't want to be around long enough for our daughter to know who he is. He doesn't want her to turn 4 and wonder where that guy who's always been around suddenly went. I don't want that, but I do love Joe for loving her so much that he can't stand to cause her any pain. What would you do if you knew you were dying? If you knew you were buying time? Be brave. That's all that's left to do. Told you it was a hard one, really hard. But I'm so thankful. I'm thankful that I took the time to write it. I remember that day writing and then being able to step away from my computer into the shit show. The shit show didn't change, but I felt lighter because I felt as if I had had a chance to put it somewhere. And that's truthfully what writing is to me. And I just took you through one instance, just in that moment of sitting in the doctor's office and the feelings, and then the lesson that I hoped people got from it, which, I mean, I'm honest, I did not do this when I was writing this. I mean, I was just writing shit because I was upset. But I wanted people to know that we were going to be brave, and that was going to be the tone we were going to take. I wasn't leaving it up for anyone else to tell me how I was going to feel or supposed to feel. I don't play like that. And I'm forever thankful to have that and so many other stories that our daughter can read someday. And I know for me, just to have had that survival tool at the time. My girl Glennon again, I just love her so much. She says, when you write your truth, it is a love offering to the world because it helps us feel braver and less alone. And I think that that is so true, because you start to share your story. And it was like me when I would hear other people say, gosh, I feel like that too. I didn't know you had that going on. And I thought I was the only one. And so it helps us feel braver and less alone. And it's truly why I wanted to have our friend here with us tonight, Emily Hinton. She's our guest speaker. She's a very,
such a title.
she's a guest speaker. She's our very, she's a wonderful person that I met through another friend. And I truly feel like we connected on a level of just wanting to share an authentic truth and feeling like you could see in someone else that they had been through something hard and wanted to learn from it, grow, and find connection. So Emily is the mom to Elena, Calvin, and Turner, these little bibs. There's her little husband, Chad. She worked a long time ago, she says, in criminal affairs. She started writing after her daughter's brain injury in 2011.
It was a bad year. It was a bad year for us.
It was a bad year. And her blog, Our Shining Light. I'm going to read her little intro that I pulled here for her, just to give you a little background on Emily. Emily was just an ordinary Midwestern gal whose life and dreams were turned upside down with a phone call that shattered her world into a million unrecognizable pieces. At nearly 4 months old, Emily's infant daughter suffered a severe brain injury while in the care of a babysitter. Left without answers and to pick up the pieces, Emily began documenting her family's journey via a blog as they were left to learn to navigate the unfamiliar world they found themselves in. Emily found solace and eventual healing through the raw, honest words of her writing. The blog, her journal of sorts, provided an in-depth look at her road through grief, gratitude, and eventual forgiveness. Writing has become a passion, inspiring her to write a book detailing her experience through the darkest time of her life. It is her most cherished hope that in telling her own story, people from any walk of life will see themselves in the pages of her heart. Though our journeys may all look different, she believes that it's only through sharing and articulating with one another that we experience real human connection. And Emily, when she shared with me that she was starting to put her blog and story into a book, I was like, damn, girl, that is hard to do. I can't believe you're doing it. And then I was also like, damn, girl, will you do a reading at my event for the very first time, even though you're not even ready to publish it or anything? And she said, yeah,
I said anything for you. Yeah.
So I was just so thankful that she was willing, and she's going to read us something from her book tonight that she's not shared with anybody. So Emily, I really am just so thankful to have you. I'm thankful to have you as a friend. I'm thankful that you're so pretty, and thankful that you're going to share your writing. You and I have talked about this over like wine and like expensive sushi and places that I make you take me to, but I forget my wallet. But I just, what do you think it is for you? What is it about writing that has been such a saving grace for you? I mean, the fact that you've been able to sit down and put this book together, what does that even mean to you? And how do you even, start that?
Yeah, no, I think it's like what you said, like there's so much power in our words, right? Like how we feel. Some of us we keep them all inside. Some of us share them for the world, like you and I do. And either way, we all have those feelings. We all go through those hard times. We all have those struggles. And for me, I just physically could not keep it inside. I had to get what I was feeling out. And mine started actually as a like day by day, here's what's going on with Elena. This is the hospital update, that kind of thing. And then just like one day I was just like, what? I'm just going to be like word vomit all over these people and give them something that they probably don't want. But it was my feelings, and it was exactly what we were going through. It was more than just her numbers looked good today, or she did this and this therapy. It was, this is really freaking hard, and I'm really struggling, and I'm grieving. And people started to really respond to that. And I immediately saw a connection with people. And the light bulb moment where you're just like, gosh, this is how people connect. You connect with people going through hard times to say, you know what, I felt that way. And yeah, I felt that. I experienced that. What you said, what you articulated really resonated with me. And I just found so much healing and relief in that.
And I love when we've talked about this, because I mean, obviously our situations are very different, but we both felt a need to kind of take control of our storyline a little bit. And I know for you, like there was so much controversy. What happened? What's going, out of nowhere, you had this healthy baby that then was severely injured while you weren't with her. And I know that telling that story and sharing that at times was so vulnerable and scary. And what were people going to think? And what do you think it is about being able to kind of put this book out and be able to own your story in the way that you want versus waiting for everyone else to tell it, that's been empowering for you?
I think what's been empowering is that I was really able to go from start to finish. Like the whole arc of tragedy, you're in the pit, you're in the darkness, and resolution and healing. And when I got to that point of resolution and healing, I felt the power to be able to go back and relive that and drudge up all those feelings and then document it. And yeah, it was hard. It's hard. I mean, it's hard to read what I'm going to read tonight, to relive it. Fingers crossed I don't like lose my cool here. But
You're in the safe zone.
yeah, I feel very safe here.
Yeah.
But it just, along the way, I just feel like I kind of owe it to people in a way. Like there was so much that I shared, but also there's so much that you don't share. And you know that, like some of it is too personal. Some of it is shameful. Some of it is embarrassing. And, I feel like I held some of that back at the time because I just wasn't ready to deal with it or share it. And I'm at a place in my life where I feel like, I mean, who cares, right? This is my life. This is our story. This is what we went through. And it was ugly and horrific, but I'm okay. Like, we're okay. We made it. We're here. So I just, it's been a healing process.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I feel very lucky and blessed that you've let me read into some of it. And it's so great. So, Emily's going to give us a little sneak peek at some of her writing, and then we'll have a chance to talk with her some more and even ask like some questions. And you feel ready? You want to give a little reading?
I think I'm ready.
You got it, girl. Let's do it.
Yeah, bear with me. Bear with me here. So, the door to the stairwell flung open. The sound of my brown boots, click-clunked, echoed against the concrete walls, down the several floors to the bottom of the parking garage. Miraculously, I had managed to park and race across the street to the emergency room at Riley Hospital for Children. A nurse immediately approached me. Her face was kind, her voice was assuring and calm. One of her arms wrapped comfortingly around my shoulder as she took me back to a tiny windowless room full of an uncomfortable amount of folding chairs. With the greatest of gentility, she walked me through what was going to happen next, as I had beat the ambulance there. I sat in that room for what felt like an hour, before the nurse came back in after checking to see if the ambulance had arrived. Encouragingly, she told me, "Emily, she was crying. Elena was crying when they brought her in." I should have felt relief at those words, but I was too scared. She was alive, yes, but what had happened? In the next moment, the babysitter, who had come with Elena in the ambulance, came into the room, where I immediately hugged her, both wrecked with sobs. She briefed me quickly about what had happened. Apparently, she had had trouble waking Elena up from a nap, tried to feed her, when she began to choke and became unresponsive. She attempted the Heimlich without success and began to perform CPR. So she choked? But how? Why? In the midst of all this nonsensical explanation, the nurse interrupted us to take me to see Elena. As strange as it might sound, I felt a sense of awkwardness immediately. Here was a woman who had been with my child as she stopped breathing, who was visibly upset, yet I remember wondering why I felt I was comforting her. I could feel everyone around me handling me with a childlike tenderness that felt ominous, and I didn't know how to handle it. My brain simply could not keep up processing the situation around me. I was by myself, a young, new mother in the middle of an emergency room, activity swirling around me. It was awkward. I was a mess. I was likely in shock, feeling an odd sense of emotions in response to what was going on around me, like it was some fake scene I was trying to navigate through, trying to determine what was real and not. And then my eyes focused on the scene in front of me. My infant daughter sprawled out on a gurney. My mind flashed back to an image captured just months earlier in the hospital, shortly after her birth. She was warmed by the sunlight pouring through a window. Eyes closed, peaceful. That image was contrasted sharply with the reality before my eyes. Her skin pale, so pale, under the brightest of artificial light. Chaos buzzing around her as she lay motionless and nothing but a tiny white diaper. Everything came into focus in that moment. The dam broke, the floodgates opened, the world shifted, my heart shattered. There are often things unimaginable to the human brain, like you see, but you find unrelatable. And as a result, there's a disconnect between image and emotion. There are horrendous and grotesque pictures, images, realities of this world, but they're just that. They're not your reality. When those nightmarish images come to life before your eyes, there is nothing to ever prepare you for a moment like that. That instant in my mind is blazoned into my mind. A small room, brilliantly lit, blue curtain, tubes, machines, my baby looking disproportionately little as she laid on a huge table under a spotlight. I walked up, and it felt like everything stopped, everyone looking, staring at me. There must have been 15 people in that small room. Just outside watching was a group of medical students in white lab coats, notebooks in hand. I didn't even know what to do. My mind was taking in the scene, but confused on how to react. I think I kissed her, held her tiny little hand. More awkwardness. All eyes were upon us. She was so delicate, so vulnerable, so unlike the baby I had just dropped off hours before. Perhaps that's how I looked to the dozens of eyes upon my back. What does one do in that moment? What do I say? What do I tell my unconscious baby in a room of strangers? Perhaps I looked like a zombie, in a daze. I must have looked out of it because they quickly sat me in a chair next to the table she was being worked on as the doctor came over and introduced herself. Her mouth moved, but the words were lost in translation between my ears and brain. As I quickly sat down, the doctor ushered me out, explaining that Elena needed to be intubated. My baby couldn't breathe, so they were going to stick a tube down her tiny little throat. There must have been a flurry of activity, But to me, the room was full of people, frozen in space. Spotlight on Elena, limp, unconscious on the table.
It's good. You're good. It's beautiful. She's lucky to have you as a mom, and we're lucky to have you as a friend and for sharing that.
Yeah.
I did want to tell everyone that when we were talking about your book and when we sat there at the coffee shop trying to figure out like how were you going to let it end, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was so much of it was about being able to read Elena's nonverbal cues to you. And then you had kind of I mean, I feel like we can call it a miracle, right? A little.
Are you trying to wreck me tonight,
Yeah,
girl?
sorry. It's been just like you had a small miracle, and I think
Yeah.
it was really amazing. I don't know if you'd want to maybe tell everybody about what happened and how maybe you got to write a new chapter.
Yeah. So a large part of the book is um, dedicated to how Elena is now and the things that we've had to overcome. And Elena is nonverbal. She's never spoken. We really struggle to get her to be able to communicate. We know that there is more in there than what she is able to communicate, but it's just a matter of getting it out. And we've never worked with her on any kind of like verbal cues or any speech. We work on speech, but not like verbal speech. And so just a couple weeks ago, my son and I were talking with Elena. She makes sounds and goes crazy and nuts, but she doesn't make anything that's that you can decipher what she's saying. And just a couple weeks ago, she was laying on the couch, and all of a sudden, she said something, and Calvin and I kind of like shot a look at each other, and we were like, Calvin's like, "Mom, Elena just said I love you," and I was like, "What?" So we kind of encouraged her to say it again, and clear as day, I was able to grab my phone in the moment and hit record, and she legit, like clear as day, said I love you. And Calvin and I just sat there like what? Oh my gosh, this is it is it's an absolute miracle. So I just said, listen, if she never speaks again, if she never says another word, my mama heart will be so happy because I got to hear her say it. So
It was beautiful. It was
yeah.
yeah. It's really something. Thank you for like sharing your writing and obviously like Emily's really good at it. I mean, I feel like not everybody you're gonna start and be like, wow, I'm a great writer. But
You don't have to write a book.
you don't
No.
have to write a book.
No.
I can't write. I like just no. I don't have that kind of attention span. But I did want to just like kind of walk everybody through those tools again, and we're gonna bring my dad back on to play some music for a couple of minutes and give everyone a minute to kind of jot down some of your own thoughts and feelings, and kind of I focus on those three things. So in one sentence, we'll just go back to like my blog as an example. Is like, what was the moment I want to talk about? I want to talk about how my husband's cancer is back, and then I want to talk about the feeling. What were the feelings that I had? I was scared. I was sad. I was hopeful. I was worried about my daughter. And so, you can kind of write that sentence at the top and jot down some of the feelings. And then just write at the bottom, like what you would want someone to know about that. And also like, this doesn't have to be something that's like, some tragedy or something. It could be the first moment you held your child. It could be the moment you met your best friend, having coffee with your brother and you realized something about your childhood. I mean, it really could, the writing is for everybody, and it's so intimate and personal. There is no wrong way to do it. So we're gonna take a minute. I'm gonna bring back my dad here. I'm gonna unmute you, Dad. I'm gonna unmute you. I think I am.
I can sing if your dad's not available.
Okay, yeah, we'll get you on there. I think I'm clicking. There he is. Okay, here we go. So we're just going to take like a couple minutes. He's going to play us a little song. I'm going to mute Emily and I and just give you a minute. I'll leave these questions up here so you have I unmuted too early. So you can see what we want to do. And then when we're done, we're going to have it in the chat. We're going to have you start sharing some of your feelings. So you're just kind of thinking ahead. You can just like chat about some of the one word feelings that you have. So just as you're thinking through this. So we'll take a minute, Dad, listen to a little music and get our writing on.
Hi, everybody. Emily, marvelous story.
Thanks.
It's you know. Anyway. Saying I love you, not the words I want to hear from you. Not that I want you not to say, but if you only knew how easy it could be to show me how you feel more than words. Oh, have I needed you to show, then you would have to say that you love me, 'cause I'd already know. What would you do if I don't go into more than words to show you feel that your love for me is real? What would you say if I took those words away? More than I couldn't make things new just by saying I love you. More than words. Now that I've tried to talk to you and make you understand, all you have to do is close your eyes, just reach out your hand and touch me. Hold me close, don't ever let me go. More than words is all I ever needed you to show. Then you wouldn't have to say that you love me, 'cause I'd already know. What would you do if my heart was torn in two? More than words to show you feel that your love for me is real. What would you say if I took those words away and you couldn't make things new just by saying I love you? More than words. More than words.
Perfect. Thank you, Dad. You guys, thank you to my dad who always practices new songs I want him to learn, and he doesn't charge me anything. In fact, right now he also has my child and my dog at his house, so so that I can do this event. So we love you. Thank you. Thanks, Dad.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm honored.
You're the best. So I'm trying to okay, wait. I can see here up. Let's see if I can do in the Q&A. Let's see if I can figure this out, guys. I can. Okay. So in the chat box there, oh, I love everyone's comments. Emily, people really, they like you. They like you a lot. In the comments, you can, I would love it if this is kind of like the place where we take a minute and share what we just wrote. And obviously you don't have to write everything, because that'd be a lot to put in a chat. But trying to write what, just your feelings. And so like, if there was something that you would want someone to know about, or if you were to choose your moment, what were some of the feelings that you were able to express when writing? So if you want to take it and put it in the chat, I'm going to read through some of those feelings, just kind of talk about all the different feelings that gosh, we have, that we want to get out, that we want to try and share there. So good. Adrian said, Emily, your words really resonated with me tonight. Thank you for opening up for us. So good.
Thanks for listening.
If someone wrote that her feelings are confusion, or was a feeling that she's wanted to get out in her writing. Someone else was uncontrollable panic. Been there, feel that one. I know for me, it was a lot of times anger. Is probably my top fear that I feel like I always need to get out, so I don't, punch people on the streets. Get that out in some writing. Relief, someone said. Emily says gratitude. That's a great one. Sharing about helplessness, helpless in a surreal situation. Gosh, so true, right? And feeling like that. Someone said they felt like they were suddenly floating outside of their body. Surreal. Emptiness while also empowered. Fear and uncertainty. Gosh, yeah, Jessica, I know this one. Devastation, sadness, so much anger. Regret, that's a big one. Not being there enough for someone going through something hard. Having no control when you are a control freak is very hard to handle. That's a for real feeling. Holding another's heart in stillness. That's so beautiful and so hard to do, isn't it? You always want to take action. This is a moment someone said they were frozen in time. The nurses having to tell them to put one foot in front of the other as they walked their 3-year-old to the CT. Questioning themselves. Can I do this? Doubt. Here's a moment from Melinda. She says, my moment was when the doctor told us that my husband had terminal brain cancer. It was as if someone had taken the breath from my body, and I immediately began to drown. My whole world was turned upside down in a matter of seconds. I felt like my fairy tale love story was over before it had even time to really begin. It's a good one. Melinda's a really great writer too. She's shared some of her blogs and things with me. There's so many feelings, and like, thank you so much for taking a minute to like express them. And I hope that even by like jotting it in that chat box, that you realize that's your place to put it. Like, no one wants you to be the sole person to carry the weight of the world. And it is in helping to hand that off to your village, to your friends, to your writing, to your journal, that you will become a lighter person and feel able to handle what's next. And for me, and for so many caregivers, and I talk passionately about that because that's who we serve as our foundation, you have to process these things so quickly so that you can be there for the next appointment, so you can be there for the next med time, so that there is no time to lay in bed for a week. I've said that so many times, like, wouldn't that be lovely? I'd love a week to grieve, just lay in bed, drink, eat Freddy's. I'd be so happy. But it doesn't work like that, right? Like, I have to take that, unpack it, process it, so I can go back and being a mom, being a friend, being a daughter, and not living in this weight of the world surrounding me back to that place where you can't breathe. And so I think that just even taking that 2 minutes that we sat there to write allows you to kind of let go of that, and let your faith kick in and know that you're strong enough to hold all these things. And this is kind of back to that. I love this quote. Darling, you feel heavy because you are too full of truth. Open your mouth more. Let the truth exist somewhere other than inside your body. And that is where sharing your truth and sharing your story and finding these healing words and the time to put this out is going to allow you to feel that weight lifted. And I just think it is truly a tool that I hope when you leave tonight that you can remember those three things: a moment, a feeling, a lesson, and feel like it's not so overwhelming to get started. And when you're feeling that anxious, where do I put this? Then now you have a place. Open up your journal, open up a Word doc, and just start kind of pounding on the keyboard. So I wanted to give a chance for anybody, and we don't have to like go crazy if nobody has any questions, but I think if anyone has any questions about writing or for Emily or for me, I don't know. Can you see this when I click it? No, maybe not. Trying to see if there's any questions, but if anybody has any questions about how to get started writing, I never have any questions. I just always think I know everything. So, but if you do, oh, Emily, here's your big pressure. When does your book come out?
It's a work in progress. So the book is done, but it takes a little bit of effort on the printing publishing side. So you'll just have to bear with me for a little while. I'm trying to get that all figured out and which avenue I want to go, but it's there.
We're going to be the first to know, though. I'm going to make her do a private reading just with us.
Yes, I will just read you the whole book in your dreams, right there.
So Melinda says, how do you turn your writing into an actual blog? Like if you started writing on CaringBridge or other sites, how can you transfer that to a blog site? And are there any that you recommend? What do you use for your blog? Blogspot?
Yeah, Blogspot. So actually mine started as a CaringBridge. For about a year, I only did CaringBridge, and then I transitioned. I'm not tech. I mean, you can go to my blog, you can see how like awkward it is. It's like so technologically unadvanced, but I didn't care about that. I just wanted a place to write. I think you just start writing, and then you just hit publish and like hope no one tears you to shreds, right? So yeah.
So I use WordPress, and WordPress is fairly easy as well. I did have a friend, my friend Jennifer Cook, sit down and show me how to use it. And once she kind of got me started, I'm able to go in there and it's pretty self-explanatory. But there's lots of those, and I did like a blog spot, but I think it's a great place. It is, blogs are nice because it's an easy format and you can just kind of, be a keyboard warrior and get out there and, but it's definitely something to do. You know what, Melinda, I'll help you do it too, because I can help you anytime because it's kind of fun.
Don't have me help you because
I'll have Jen help you.
Yeah.
I'll get Jen to do it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's any other questions. Oh, Jen says she's available. She'll help people. Oh. She's good like that. Yeah. She's really the one that pushed me to do this event tonight. She's always, I should have added that. What else you need is to just have someone believe in you. Now I'm just gonna sob, but like I just think she always believed in me. She always said what a great writer I was. She believed I could figure it out. And then as far as tonight, she said, people want to hear your story and they want to learn and they want to feel that connection. And even, when Emily and I were planning this and talking through, it's like sometimes you get so into the details of the timeline, or should we share this and share this? And it's like sometimes all that as humans we're longing for is connection, especially when you're going through something that's hard, because you feel like you're so alone. You must be the only person in the world that feels this. You must be the only one that's going through this. And so that connection is so important.
But also I think it's important to note too, Amanda, that like, it doesn't have to be someone going through your situation, right? Like you and I have been able to connect like in just like mind blowing, like that is exactly how I felt. Yeah, our situations and our scenarios and the paths we walked in our lives are so different. So I think it's just talking through the emotions of what you're feeling when you're going through it. I think that's what's the connection. It's not what happened to you, it's how you reacted and how you've gotten through it. I think that is where the connection happens.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. I feel like that's kind of that. I know someone wrote about like the feeling was being still with someone's heart. And I feel like that's where, when you're bravely stepping forward to share your story, is you allow yourself to take that control of owning your story before you let everyone else tell it. And then there's something that's kind of nice that we've talked a lot about, is how writing is, it's much easier than picking up a phone and telling someone, because what happens so often is all of a sudden you're the one comforting them, and you don't even know how did this just happen? Why am I comforting you? And so that's something that else I think is great about writing, is you get to own your story. You get to tell it the way you want it told. And you get to hit publish and then turn your phone off, and tell everybody else to take a minute. Cause sometimes it's, that part of it can be a lot to process for whatever you've gone through.
Well, and sometimes too, to add on to what you're saying, there's less vulnerability in like writing versus telling somebody face to face. I think I felt more comfortable getting my full expression out behind a keyboard in a blog versus going up to somebody and being like, this is just really hard. I'm not doing well. It was easier kind of to ask for help, or to let people know I needed help, or, just expressing myself versus looking somebody in the eye and telling them how you felt.
I have a question for you, Emily. And I know you write the blog, but do you journal ever? Do you write, like handwrite things, or do you always type it?
I have like 6 journals, but I always get frustrated with handwritten journals because my thoughts come out faster than my hands can write. So in the last couple of years, I type all of my journals because I can just get the thoughts out quicker. My brain is on overdrive.
I love this. So our friend Allie said, you both have a way with words. Thank you for sharing. I wrote some things down that I really needed to write down tonight. Can't wait to read your book, Emily. So that's good.
Thanks, Allie.
And
that makes me so happy.
I know, it is. And like, Emily and I was saying, like, sometimes, like, even now, it's like, it's been 6 years since my husband died. Sometimes I feel like, oh gosh, my story's over. Probably nobody really cares anymore. Or like, you can kind of get yourself in this self-conscious place. But when I take a minute and just write down something that's happening now, or something that I'm grateful for, or gosh, a realization, those moments where you're like, oh, this just happened. And now I realize, I've told this story before and I wrote a blog about it. I wrote a blog called I Never Would Have Been Her Hero. And it was like a year ago. And I remember taking my daughter to go ice skating. And like, it's probably really surprising to everyone, I'm not very athletic. And here I am with this little girl, and like, you're looking around like, oh, there's no one else to go out with her. I have to do this. Like, and I know that if Joe would have been here, I would have happily gotten like a hot toddy and sat on the edge and let him go handle it. It just would have never even been something I would have wanted to do, but I had no choice. And I had to go out there and ice skate with her. And I remember looking down at her little hand holding me, and like, I'm like holding on to dear life, just hoping we don't both go down. And it was like this aha moment, like, oh my gosh, through my loss, I just was given a gift of something I probably would have never had. And I couldn't wait to like get home and start writing about it. Cause I was like, I have to get this out, because this is like an aha moment, a God wink or whatever, or realization that through my suffering had some kind of purpose. And it allowed me an opportunity that I just would have never had. And so there's moments like that you forget to sit down and write sometimes, because they are happy. I don't know, it's like that same thing. Like, you only ask God for things when you need them, and sometimes forget to say, when things are going good. But it's like good to write through all those things.
And it's good to document it, because you think like, oh, I'll always remember this. And then life happens and you don't remember it. And so writing the good with the bad, you're right.
Totally. I think it's something that's really, really powerful. You guys, this has just been an amazing evening. It's our very first one of these. I promised I wasn't going to go much longer than an hour, because I know it's a Thursday night, and we got some other things. My friend Alex and Joe slow clapping from above. Pam is saying, this is the time since December where I took time to do something for me. I appreciate this time so much. Thank you. Pam, that's amazing. And it's true. It's like even an hour, isn't it crazy how if this is 1 hour, that's not that you've got, 20.
You guys, Amanda and I could talk for like 3 more hours.
Pour
So.
another glass. You know what? We're here. We'll do one more song.
All right. Bring it on.
One more song. No. But I feel like I'm so thankful, Pam, that you did take the time. And I hope that everybody feels like they walk away with, I don't know, you're allowed to take an hour for you. You're allowed to do this and you need it. And I think writing is such a form of self-care that we, self-care is everywhere right now, but I'm going to tell you, like, sitting in a bubble bath is not really for me. Like I need to be actively doing something. And so the writing is just a way to help do that. So thank you to everyone for being here. We're getting some great comments saying this was so great. I think what we would love to do more, it just is so great. Thank you to Emily for being brave and sharing. Oh, draw all the other names.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, here we go. I've drawn 2, so I get 8 more. Let's see. Courtney Comer, we're going to send you a notebook. Adrian Volmer, we're going to send you a notebook. I can tell you little Adrian needs a little love tonight. We're going to get that. I'm going to drop that off of your doorstep, 6 feet away. How many I just draw? Hold on. She says, come on over. Okay, we got 4 here. Jill Stash. Jill's always a big supporter of Cocktails and Chemo. She lives in Chicago. We're going to get you one. Hannah Avil. I don't know if I saw Hannah on. I have to see, but she lives in California. She may watch the recorded version later. Well, Hannah, you won. Here we go. Lindsay Eichelman. Yay, girl.
Woohoo.
1, 2, 3. Jackie Miller. Oh, this makes me happy because Jen couldn't make it tonight. Jennifer. Lindsay, your sister won. Okay, good. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, one more. Oh, perfect. Sarah Hines. She's such a love bug, and she has always been a great Cocktails and Chemo supporter. So we're going to get all those sent out to everybody. They're beautiful.
Thanks to the who is the sponsor?
Because Love.
Because Love.
They're such a great company. If you look them up tonight, they're just really great. We had some really nice comments over here. People just saying, thank you, great job, changing lives. I'm just so thankful for everyone taking the time for us. If you have any comments, you can message us later. Follow us on Facebook at Cocktails and Chemo and on Instagram. And that's all for tonight. So thank you guys so much for an amazing night. Now let's see if I can figure out how to turn this off.
Thanks, Amanda, for all you do too.
Oh my gosh.
Caregivers, special place in my heart. So
thanks, girl. You're the best. All right, Dad, you want to play us out?
Yeah.
Oh, his guitar's down. He's not even ready. I unmuted you.
I didn't know.
I know. We'll do more of these workshops, guys. So thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Bye, guys.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.